Notoriety, ever since its release, has now tenfold amount of infamy levels, going from just 25 to 250 infamies you can do. Along with that, the bronze systems has changed a lot, going from around 5 million experience required to get to level 100 to around 20 million experience. The XP you have from heists has drastically changed as well, to catch up with level XP requirements, and with that this means that my old infamy guide from 2022 is practically outdated and useless now. So I'm going to reduce the whole thing entirely with up-to-date information. This guide will cover general information, the best heists to gain experience and cash, a simplified guide to some of them, heists for early levels, grinding for solo players, and grinding for co-op players. And with that out of the way, let's go over this. Before starting with the actual guide, I recommend this Discord server for everyone wanting to grind infamies with other people. This server is called Fox CrimeNet, owned by Fo. This server has guide for infamy grinding, a ranking system, people to rush it with, and it will also be my unofficial community server, so should go join if you can, only for people over the age of 13. Link will be in the description. The first thing you should do if you haven't already is join the Moonstone Games Roblox group, as it gives a free permanent 50% bonus for cash and experience. Infamy, aside from the initial chase, gives you 3 options for bonuses, with there being extra skill points, extra XP, and extra cash, with there being 8 bonuses for each of them, making it for a total of 25 infamies required to unlock all of these bonuses. And yes, you can choose them in any order. At the initial 25 infamies, you no longer gain bonuses, but you can continue doing infamies up to 250, which is the maximum. The cash requirement for each infamy, without the cheaper infamy game pass, is 20 million for the first 25 infamies. However, going from infamy 26, it goes up 10 million for each next infamy, with it being capped at a maximum of 125 million per infamy. At the time of making this video, you only gain badges for infamy 50, 100, and 250. And for in-game cosmetics, you gain sweet pattern from infamy 1, 50, 100, 150, 200, and 250. As to which bonuses you have for your first infamies, it's honestly your choice between 2 options: extra XP bonuses and extra skill points. Extra cash generally isn't as useful as these 2, even if it gives you 80% extra cash with all of them. You can get cash quite easily, at least for the first 25 infamies, and at which point you will already add infamy bonuses, so it doesn't matter. So yes, leave cash for last. Extra XP bonuses lets you level up faster obviously, and having all of them will give you a 60% extra XP bonus. Extra skill points however are also useful, as you get just at level 1 when you infamy. So instead of having only 1 skill point for being level 1 after doing an infamy, you have 4, with 3 being extra skill points. If you have all extra skill points, you can get 32 extra skill points, or 33 skill points at level 1. This will let you get some general important skills right away as your infamy, which one of the 2 bonuses is more useful is up to you. Another thing to note about infamy is that it will reset all of your cash when you do it, until you reach infamy 6. When you reach infamy 6, every other infamy will only take away the required amount of cash to infamy, and the rest remains. Also, starting from infamy 6, it will no longer reset your gear, such as weapons and equipment, so you don't have to bother with rebuying your stuff. However, it will still reset you back to level 1 and remove your skills. Now, let's talk about Roblox required stuff: the double XP, double cash, and cheaper infamy game passes and boost. Double XP, well, doubles your XP gain. Well, not exactly. You see, it multiplies your best experience from you gain from a heist, not the total experience. Regardless, it's 100% more base experience. Double cash works the same, but just for cash. Cheaper infamy halves your infamy money cost, making so instead of costing 20 million, it only costs 10 million to infamy. And instead of it costing 125 million when it reaches the maximum cap, it only costs 62.5 million per infamy. These are one-time purchase game passes, Panther Test Boost, which were like 2x XP and 2x cash, but they only last 1 hour when you bought. You don't necessarily need any of these. You can grind Infamy very well without needing any of the game passes. That said, having just does speed that up by a lot, especially when it comes to cash. Personally, I value grinding Infamy without any of these previously mentioned game passes and boosts, and as I will show you, you can still do it very well. If you do wanna buy game passes though, I would recommend first of them all the cheaper Infamy game passes. Cash becomes harder to get an experience if you are doing Infamy above 25. Or that 2x XP is the best one. It's best one for doing Infamy below 25. And still speed up the process if you're doing Infamy above 25. And for last is 2x cash. Unless you wanna go really overkill with cash and practically ignore the Infamy cash requirements, you shouldn't get this. Note that doing on the basis of Infamy and the bonuses, and before going to the best cash for XP and cash, let's go over what is perhaps the most powerful strategy if you're grinding with multiple people, and which will you need to learn, ECM Rushing.
This strategy, as said in the title, involves the equipment named the ECM Jammer. In summary, this equipment, once deployed, lasts for 15 seconds without any skills, and whilst it's active, it blocks any police calls from being made during stealth, basically preventing the alarms from being set off. Without skills, a player can only have one, and these ECMs block calls, but they don't block pagers from killed guards, so the alarms can still go off because of these. Fortunately, there's 2 skills made for ECM jammers which upgrade them. Well, technically 3, but ECM feedback doesn't count and is useless for this video. These skills are located in the tiers 4 and 5 of the Ghost skill tree. These are ECM Overdrive and ECM Specialist respectively. ECM Overdrive. The basic version increases its duration by 25%, whilst the Ace version makes it so you're able to use your jammer as a keycard, which is useful in some maps. ECM Specialist. The basic version makes it so you can carry 2 ECM jammers instead of just one, and the Ace version makes it so ECM jammers can now actually block pagers, as well as another 25% duration buff. With these 2 skills, a singular ECM jammer lasts 23.4 seconds each, and with these 2 skills explained, let's go over ECM Rushing. To maximize the potential of ECM jammers, when people get alerted, you place one jammer, and when the first jammer is about to end, you place the second one, and when the timer shows 5 seconds left, if you have the skill Jack of all trades basic located in the Technician skill tree, you can place equipment 100% faster, so this is useful because you can place a jammer when there's only 3 seconds left. This maximizes the amount of time the jammer effect lasts for, making it so a player can stall the police calls for around 40 seconds. Assuming a 4-player squad has 2 max ECM jammers each, a team of 4 players will have 8 ECM jammers in total. Overlapping ECMs has no effect over just one. However, you can chain ECM jammers in succession to avoid the alarm from going off for as long as possible. Player 1 uses their first ECM jammer. Then, after seeing that the timer for the first ECM jammer is running out, with around 4 seconds left, player 1 uses the second jammer. Once the second jammer of player 1 is running out, player 2 will deploy their first ECM jammer. Now the process repeats with all 4 players. Player 2 deploys their second jammer once their first jammer is running out. Once player 2 runs out of jammers, player 3 chains their 2 jammers, and same thing with player 4. By chaining all 8 ECM jammers from the team, you can stall the alarms for around 2 minutes and 40 seconds. This chaining doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to deploy an ECM on the exact same second one finishes. Just deploying it on the last 4 seconds works fine, although the tighter you can time it, the better, and there can be a bit of downtime between ECMs in case one player forgets to place them. Now, what do you need all of this for? Well, in this strategy called ECM Rushing, you can use this chaining to complete heists and stealth without slowing down at all. The whole map can be alerted, but they won't be able to set off the alarms. This makes it so you can complete objectives recklessly without worrying about anything around you, as long as you and your team remember to time and chain the ECMs. This is a very powerful strategy for some maps, and some people just call it a whole different tactic alongside stealth and loud. With the concept of ECM rushing explained, we can now go over the best heists for experience and cash. These heists won't be in order, as the efficiency of these heists depend on the amount of players and also depends from player to player on how difficult some might find a mission. Remember that this is also based on how time efficient said heist is, so even if a heist gives more experience than another, it might not be better because of how long it takes. The experience will also be shown in its base amount you get from the screen, so bonuses such as repeat bonus or the double experience game pass will not be counted, as it depends from person to person. That said, let's go over them. This heist gives around 700k base experience in stealth. However, there's a little trick that most people won't believe. If you go loud, the base experience bumps up to 1 million for free. It doesn't matter at which point of the heist you set off the alarms, it can be at the very start or at the very end. Preferably, you will want the alarms to be set off near the end of the heist to avoid having to fight enemies. This heist requires you to get a minimum of 7 bags from timed crates that you need to defuse first before opening them. There's very little difference between getting the minimum bags and all loot, so if you're grinding experience, just get 7 and make sure the alarms were set off to get the free experience buff. This heist is best done with multiple people with a coordinated squad of 4 players, having 3 people get 2 bags each and 1 person getting only 1 bag. You get this minimum 7 bags and can reach times of under 2 minutes, or if optimized well, under 1:30, making it one of the most efficient heists, whilst also being one of the easiest ones. That said, this heist still works very well solo, being able to be done in 3 or 4 minutes, and its simplicity makes it ideal for a lot of people that prefer easy heists. This heist can also be done as an early heist, if you can buy it right after an Infamy, and with only 1 skill point you can get the skill pack animal, which decreases back speed penalty immensely. If you have skill points, you would want at least these skills for this map: an apple a day aced, pack animal aced, movement skills such as duck and cover and parkour both aced, carry pigeon aced. If you're playing with a squad, someone should get at least 2 maxed ECM jammers, although don't get more because remember, the alarms need to be set off at the end. For the other people in the team, however, I recommend an equipment that clears enemies for you and brings annoyances out of your way. Ever got killed by guards while you were opening a crate? Well, use the sentry gun. The skills for this equipment are located in the second column of the Technician 3. The most important ones are the ones at tier 2 that increases damage, and the one at tier 5 that makes you able to bring up to 4 sentries. The most recent heist, the depot, gives around 900k XP base. More bags barely change the XP given, so just get the minimum requirement of 6 bags. Unlike Authority, this will also need to be done fully in stealth, as the escape boat leaves once the heist goes loud, so you'll have to be using ECM jammers from start to finish. In solo, you can get times of 2 to 3 minutes depending on your luck. In this mission, there's loot scattered around the map, or inside crates that you can open with crowbars, or garage doors that you can open with keys. Then you just need to secure bags near a boat. In this mission, learning how to throw the bags from distance to the securing point can be important. With a coordinated squad, you can get times of under 50 seconds pretty consistently. The same skills shown earlier are heavily recommended, with the addition of the skill Infiltrator Basic to help with doors. ECM skills will also help a lot, so you need less coordination with the ECM jammers. power on completion gives around 1.28 million base XP and around 1.4 million combined with the stealth bonus. The heist lives up to its name as you always have something to do, making it one of the most fun heists. It also is one of the most complex heists, so whilst you need to learn how it works if you want to do it, it is still quite easy once you know how to do it. This heist is ideal for solo and for duo as you can get times of 3 to 5 minutes depending on your RNG and once you know the heist well enough. In multiplayer, duo can shorten the time significantly, and in a squad setting it's possible to get times of 2 minutes or even 1 minute depending on your coordination. However, there's one major downside with this heist that makes it only one of the best for solo and duo and not for squad. There are 2 escape van spawns. The first one is the closest to the stores, called the good van or the close van, which doesn't leave as long as the heist is still on stealth. While at the other side there is a far van. The problem with the far van is that unlike the good van or close van, it leaves and doesn't return until 2 or 3 minutes later, so no matter how fast you did the objectives, you get a time loss if you get this van. In solo, you usually finish the objectives after this one van comes back, so it isn't a problem. To do this heist solo, I recommend these skills: Nimble Aced to lockpick safes, Infiltrator Aced to speed up the lockpicking process, and ECM Overdrive Aced to use an ECM jammer as a keycard, which is useful for the safe in the butcher store that lets you open it without needing to search for a keycard. And of course, the other skills mentioned in the previous missions. This heist gives 352,000 base XP, and with a squad it can be completed in 15 seconds. But wait, how do you complete this heist in just 15 seconds? In this heist, when you set off the alarms by breaking glass, the van doesn't instantly leave. Precisely, it leaves in 13.5 seconds. This makes it so that if you're fast enough and get 8 bags, you can escape. With a 4-player team, this is easily doable. Just decide on what 2 bags each player gets beforehand, and you also get plenty of leeway for slight mistakes. This strategy only requires the carrier pigeon skill aced to carry 2 bags. Remember that to do this consistently, you will need to disable safe escape and enable the speedrun timer option, and anybody who does it hosts the match. This is because having a forced 3-second wait to escape in the van makes this strategy much more inconsistent. This will be further explained in the small optimization sections. Now we're talking about global settings. Remember to also set all effects to off, as the glass breaking effect can lag even the best of PCs. This heist also works solo, although the same strategy as shown earlier cannot be done. You will need to get the manager upstairs in the front office, take their keycard and use it on the keycard reader, which can spawn in one of 3 spots. Make sure you have 2 maxed ECM jammers for this, so you can rush the 8 jewelry bags without needing to bother about anything that detects you. This heist is also good if you want to reset your repeat bonuses on other heists quickly, while also gaining a good amount of experience. Art Gallery. Around 500k base XP, with completion times of 1 to 2 minutes in solo, and under a minute with a good team. Downtown Bank and R&B Bank. With all loot, both give out the same 1 million base XP, although if you're going for just XP, I recommend Downtown Bank more as it has only 8 bags. Brick Bank. 1.7 million XP with just the minimum loot of 8 bags, doable in 10 minutes or less. The Godzilla Heist. 1.4 million base XP, completable in usually 7 to 10 minutes, although this heist is better for cash as you'll see later.
On the other hand, if you're looking for cash, here's the most efficient heist. The same rules as the best guide for experience apply. Shadow Ray Full Sweep requires you to hit all bugs in the map, including the Samurai armor, and can reward up to around 4 million best cash per run. The amount of bugs that spawn in the map is random, having a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 20. This grind is best done with a squad, as you can glitch the place in under 3 minutes with lower times, such as low 2 minutes being doable if performed well. Since you do the heist so fast, and when you set off the alarms, you have 2 minute timer on the heist ends. You don't need to ECM Rush the entire thing, rather 4 or even just 2 ECMs are enough. The other players you can instead bring sentries to protect themselves while looting or running interactions. Ideally, you want one person opening your side containers, one person doing inside downstairs, one person doing inside upstairs, and one person opening the crates inside the warehouse. That said, this heist isn't good for solo. The full sweep you take much longer, but if you are a squad, this will be the most efficient out of them. To sell a heist gives out a base amount of 6 million cash, with just the guitar. This heist is regarded by many as the hardest heist to sell in the game, and while that might be true, once you know how everything works in the heist, it's not really hard, and can be done very consistently. This heist is better done in solo or duo, as it starts with to hit chaotic with 3 or 4 people, and doesn't take much time. If the player or the players cannot well know about the map, this heist can be done in 10 minutes, or even less time, such as 7 to 8 minutes. Unless you're multiplayer, with having someone else take trophies doesn't lose time, then taking the trophies isn't really worth it, and just keeping with the guitar is fine. While the heist does give a lot, the time taken simply limits the heist to only being the best for solo grinding, as no matter how fast of an Ocella speedrunner you are, it cannot get more expensive than Shadow Ray with a squad. That said, this heist is pretty fun to do with knowledge people. The depot is like Shadow Ray, but the loot is way more dependent on RNG because of the garage door, with there being 9 of them. You can never tell for sure what you're gonna get, although they always have in the worst case scenario at least a single loot bag in them. This heist at the bare minimum, if you manage to get all loot in the open, crates, and all 9 garage, this gets you a minimum of 18 bags, without counting Orden's 2 bags of gold. This number of bags can get much higher depending on what you get in the garages. This also, unlike Shadow Ray, you will also need to keep stealth for the entire mission, so you will actually need to coordinate all ECMs between all 4 players. So this heist requires more coordination than Shadow Ray, but can compete with its rewards if done correctly. Just like Shadow Ray though, this is best done with a squad and not solo for the most efficiency. Nightclub is a pretty consistent heist, as it has the same 7 bags in the same spots always. With a squad, you can full switch the place in just 40 seconds, or even less. There is 2 blocks of color bags, both in the 2 safes in the 2 rooms, there is 2 money bags, 1 in the balcony and 1 in the tellers, and there is 3 bags of gold inside the basement safe. This will give 1 million base cash in around 40 seconds. However, remember that the host will give headless money, as they have to pay the expensive contract cost of 596k after each completion. So, if you're doing this one, I heavily recommend you have all Infamy cash bonus to compensate, or at least the playable host should. This can also be done solo, being able to get all loot in 2 minutes or less. But remember, it's best though when you have all Infamy cash bonuses. For about 1 million cash in Chip 9 difficulty with all bags of Chevrolet shop can be done full sweep with solo rather quickly by getting all 16 bags. With a full squad, it's possible to push it until 40 seconds or even less. The best part of this heist is that it doesn't have expensive contract costs in the number difficulty, so the host will lose a very insignificant amount of money compared to how much they gain. Let's say you need to get levels to get skill points and cash to avoid here, which is important for people under Infamy 6, because once again, your inventory reset for 4 Infamy 6, and only on the 7 Infamy and forwards you no longer lose your gear. Same things apply for cash, you lose it all on the first 6 Infamies. You also won't have all Infamy skill point bonuses, so you won't have enough skill points for some basic missions and rushes. Or well, even if you are high Infamy, you might wanna do an early high mission for some levels. Chevrolet Shop is a very first mission. It's simple, can be double those skills easily, and can award quite a good amount of cash and well with the heavy bags. Choose the select power box from the store to the select cameras, get the 4 guys on the map, host a Chevrolet and start drilling. Then it's free for their own. Authority in the normal difficulty requires only 2 bags, so this is a quick way to get your first levels at an Infamy. Doing it in the normal difficulty is also possible. Just use the 1 skill point you have from level 1 to get the skill pack animal basic.
Repeat bonus is a mechanic in this game that gives you a cash and XP bonus on a heist for not having played it multiple times. It can get up to 100%, which is very good. The more you play a heist, this repeat bonus will get lower, going all the way down to 0%. Unlike old versions of the game, there's no more repeat penalty, it only goes down as low as 0%, so you cannot go into the negatives. Now, a question comes to mind. How do you get the repeat bonus back to 100%? As the name suggests, you just need to do different heists. For example, if Rush Hour is 0% repeat bonus, you can complete Jewelry Shop 8 times and Rush Hour will be back at 100% repeat bonus. This is best done with the skill Shape Charges, where you can use a trip mine to blow up open the safes, which is the fastest way to do this heist. Just take the crown and escape. Then repeat the process 7 more times by resetting the heist. However, is it really worth doing? Yes, and also not. In the case of grinding experience, it is better to do heists that you haven't done and also give a good amount of experience, so you reset repeat bonuses for past heists while also grinding experience at the same time. Depending on how long players take in the lobby, this has potential to be slightly more efficient than just grinding one singular heist, while also being more fun. How would you do this, however? If you're doing 2 heists, for example Authority and Depot, you can do whichever one you have more repeat bonus on and repeat it until you're back at 100% on Depot. If you're doing 3 different heists, you can do 4-4-4. For example, 4 times Authority, then 4 times Depot, then 4 times Rush Hour, all in a row. Then go back to Authority 4 times in a row and repeat the rotation. This can be in any order, but when you finish the rotation, the first heist of the rotation you made will be back at 100% repeat bonus, so these rotations maximize the potential of the repeat bonus. You can also use a different split, such as 3-3-3-3. For example, 3 times Authority, 3 times Rush Hour, 3 times Depot, and 3 times Diamond Store. However, it gets less efficient. You don't necessarily have to do rotations of the same 2, 3, or 4 heists. You can even also do in the middle whichever heist you find fun and you have at 100% repeat bonus. For example, you can do a few Azila heists in the middle. Also remember, these rotations are examples, change them on your own accord as long as they still have the main rule. That said, you can also just ignore all of this altogether and just grind one singular heist over and over. For example, you can spam Authority with friends or Shadow Raid if you're going for cash, but not only it gets boring, you also won't come out learning much, and it is nowhere close to being the most efficient way of grinding either XP or cash.
On this section, I will show you some ways to save time that will add over time. The first thing you should be doing is going to the settings in the main menu of the game, then at the side, disable Safe Escape. This will make so instead of having to wait a 10 second time to escape, you can choose escape instantly when 75% of players are in the escape zone. While not needed, you can also enable the speedrun timer. What does it do? It just displays milliseconds in the timer. It's not needed, but it looks cooler. Remember that you should also set your kicking option to host, as sometimes the game bugs out and doesn't recognize the host, so you should enable host kicking. There is two temporary speed skills in the game. The second one in the Ghost skill tree tier 1 and Charisma in the Maxima skill tree tier 3. Second one gives you a speed boost when your armor breaks, and it lasts for 6 seconds if the skill is 6. How do you break your armor to buy yourself though? That's where the Molotov gauge comes into play. Throw it on your feet and bam, free speed boost. Just make sure to not use it while you're very low on health. Charisma is simple. If the skill is 6, shoot at the player and take a speed boost for 30 seconds. When you complete a heist, you will have to wait for a screen that shows your reward for the best restart button to appear. However, at the very end of the heist, you can press tab, press reset, and press CS when the screen transition happens. Time it correctly and you have to reset the heist early, skipping the reward screen, while still not getting all of your rewards. This saves around 3 to 5 seconds. If you cannot time this, you reset at the very start, or while doing an interaction, and someone who can time it doesn't reset until the heist ends and the screen fades, so that the other players don't have to bother timing it. And that's the most efficient way to grind Infamies in the game. I strongly recommend you join the Discord server soon at the start, as we host lobbies with premier rotation with entire guests dedicated to them, written by Fo. I will make a video on some of his rotations later, and also some standalone guides for some heists, so stay tuned.